So when I pivoted into this online business space, I don't know why, but I just did not apply this structured thinking into my business. And a lot of times people would tell me, oh, you're freelancing, just hustle, just, get referrals, just talk about your services to anyone and everyone. And while that felt okay in the beginning, like I was fortunate enough to have a lot of referral clients, it did not feel sustainable. And it just felt like the longer I went this way, the lower my self-esteem got, because I just felt like I was shouting into a void. And then Launch Your Own Way popped up on my feed at such a strategic time, because it was when I was thinking of giving up. I was thinking of going back to corporate. Like, this is just not cut out for me. But then it popped up. And then I remember when I was scrolling the sales page, initially I thought it was a marketing course, which it is if you think about it, but I thought it was just a marketing course. And even that was enough to get my attention already, because I just wanted to learn, broaden my skill set in terms of marketing. But then after joining, I think, December. What year are we in?
I think December 23 is when you joined.
December 23, yeah. And when I joined, I realized that it's way more than that. The resources, the thinking, the structure, the framework, it's more than just a marketing course. It's more like, it's kind of like a business course, if I think about it. I joke all the time that this is my MBA. Because honestly, the skills in there are not just marketing. It kind of restructures your whole business, which is what I experienced.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. Like, how did you land on, because you were doing a lot of like retainer services before Launch Your Own Way. How did you land on the offers that are now like so ubiquitous with your brand and so well known? And what was that process like? Because I think that is one part of the program that maybe I don't talk about enough, is that you really like form your offers before your launch within the program.
Yeah, I love how you make everyone go through this prerequisite of creating the STAR offer with the STAR framework. And that really got my engines turning, because when I shifted to starting my own business, I just packaged my skills into a service that I thought people wanted. So it was a lot of me just vomiting things out to people. A lot of done for you, which is not bad. Like, I have a done for you offer brewing behind the scenes. Like, done for you isn't bad, but it was just put together without thought. So when I went through the STAR framework, if I remember correctly, it was, you have to have a specific outcome, transformation, and a tuned audience. And that really got me thinking what this offer's transformation would look like. So from that, I reimagined my strategy offer, which used to be a done for you PDF that I just sent out to clients. I reimagined that into something a little more collaborative, which is how the Pick Me Up was born. And it was also during that time where I took the Pick Me Up, which was at beta back then. I took that through the whole launch framework for the first time. So that was like, a lot happened in those 6 months, I would feel. I created my STAR offer, I planned it out according to your framework, and I ran the beta for that.
Yeah. Where was your audience at the time, right? Because it's so different being like a freelancer, kind of just like word of mouth, retainer clients. That's like the freelancer kind of stage of business, moving really into like this brand stage where you have really specific offers for a really specific audience, and you're having to find them in a different kind of way. It's not necessarily word of mouth anymore. So yeah, take me through like where your audience was when you first launched the Pick Me Up, and then we can maybe get into some more methods that happened throughout your different launches that you've done.
Super interesting. My audience, when I first started my own business, was brick and mortar fitness studios. So a lot of gyms, Pilates studios, a lot of in-person clients. And I had no audience online. And when I was posting content, I remember during the first 3-6 months, the audience that was looking at my content and getting value out of it was not the audience that I was working for. So there was a huge mismatch in that sense. And when I went through the STAR offer framework, right after I joined Launch Your Own Way, I started thinking, if I really wanted to create an offer that can pay the bills, allow me to do this long term, I need to start looking where the opportunities are. And my skill set is highly transferable. Like, I can create strategies for a brick and mortar store, but then I can also create strategies for a solo entrepreneur, because I have similar experiences for both. So I pivoted my audience entirely, which wasn't easy, because all my content was focused around speaking to fitness studio owners and a lot of brick and mortar strategies. So I had to do a lot of warm up before. I think that took, I want to say, half a year for me to really see results out of my content and out of my messaging pivot. So that was an uncomfortable time, but I felt like it was necessary for sure.
Take me through what that looked like for your first launch. So you had the offer, you had the pick me up, you knew that you were going to pivot your audience. What did it look like to kind of start from zero and start from scratch, where you completely had to change your positioning, you completely had to change your content strategy? And how did it, like, 6 months really isn't that long of a time when you think about it, going from not really having an audience to having an in-demand service. So what were some of the things that you did during that process?
The first thing I did was I completely refreshed my content strategy. So I switched up the topics that I was talking about. I switched the words that I was using. So instead of using terms like filling up your classes for fitness studios, I started switching those terms to something that would relate more to the people that I wanted to talk to. I put out a lot of content that just gave out free information and education without asking for anything back. I recall all my CTAs at the end of my posts back then was just follow along. Come for the adventure. Like, I'm switching things up. Things are changing here. So yeah, a lot of it was content. I mean, social media being my second home, I focus on that a lot. But then I also invested in a lot of support. So obviously Launch Your Own Way was one of them. I also invested in messaging support. So I wanted to switch my entire messaging to speak to my new audience. So having that external support and also behind the scenes, just really going ham on the content that I was putting out. I feel like that was the initial stage. For a moment, it felt impossible. Like, I was putting out content that no one responded to, but slowly but surely, you start seeing the effect. Like, one thing that I also prioritize is engaging before people engage with you. Like, so what if no one engages with you? You engage. So I would, just comment on things that caught my attention, respond to stories. I would do so much of this, just really taking out my business hat and putting on my human hat, right? If I see a story that I like, I'm gonna heart it. So I did a lot of that in the beginning, and this slowly led to me launching the beta spots. The lead up to launching beta, I just spoke a lot about problem awareness in this space. So for example, one of the problems that I noticed was a lot of people were just posting to post, or they were reactively creating content. So I started a lot of conversations around that. Like, it doesn't have to feel like a second job. It doesn't have to feel like you're always chasing a never ending race. So I would talk a lot about that on stories, in my content, and just really get people thinking before I even pitch them anything later.
Can you take us through what's included in the Pick Me Up, just so we can have some context about that offer, maybe how it's evolved as well, because I know it's changed a bit. And then also what the timeline was like from starting to warm up and pivot to that beta launch.
When the Pick Me Up launched, it was a 90-minute strategy call with me, super collaborative. We come up with ideas, and then the client on the other end is able to refine and tell me their thoughts live. It's super focused. We get a lot done in that 90 minutes. And then they have 4 weeks of Slack support with me as they implement it. That was how it first started. Today, as I'm preparing for the next launch, I have gotten feedback, obviously, from running it twice now. And I am just really tightening it up. So a lot of the feedback that I got was strategy is great, but it's still that implementation piece that a lot of people struggle with. So I'm customizing a curriculum for every single client that comes through it. So during the 4-week support, I'll actually act like your personal butler, your content butler, where I will, depending on where you are, I'll actually hold your hand and make sure that you stay inspired and motivated to implement. With that, I included a bunch of resources to help them keep up that momentum.
Okay, if you loved that episode and you want more, you've got to check out the full episode of my podcast, The Warm Up. This was just a sneak peek, but the full conversation goes way deeper. Plus, there's way more episodes for you to listen to. So head to cominguproses.co/warmup, give it a listen, and I'll see you over there.